the program doesn't work unless you do it.
100%, yeah.
And there is a big part of success in empowering somebody is to know what to do. It is upon them to do the work. It's not upon the professional to do the work. Einstein had his pipe. Sigmund Freud had a pipe. Winston Churchill had a cigar. But essentially, a big part of that will also be the nicotine. Nicotine is one of the things that helps us think better. There are so many incredibly bright minds who used nicotine in some way, perhaps not without knowing essentially why, but they knew that when they were deep in thought, the nicotine would be of useful.
Yep.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be bigger and never felt I was big enough. Bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia, that is always the thing that I've always pursued as far as an ideal.
Yep.
So never being big enough to make the Olympia, I mean, I better keep trying to get there. So the biggest I got to was 140 kilos body weight. Well, I did that one for the powerlifting.
He's like a Taylor Swift. Oh, I mean, he looks good in a tailored suit. Smokes cigars while bagging keyboard experts, warriors, and critics. He tells it as it is. He's taller when he wakes up. Actually, we are all taller when we wake up. He's dug trenches, unloaded road trains, played baseball in Oz. He has a soft spot, a love for the place, America. He's across everything muscular and skeletal. Wants to bring it back to things that are easy and simple. If you treat pain and not find its cause, welcome to failure. Please help me welcome Lock and Loaded, Dr. Andrew Locke.
Live and dangerous from the Hotel Pilgrim in Paris this morning.
Bonjour, bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour.
How are
good
you?
it is.
I know,
Really
I know.
Really great. Yes, it's a wonderful life. On tour all the time now.
You are on tour.
Because it's getting pretty cold in Melbourne, and who wants to be in Melbourne for winter? Not me. So, yes, it's Paris this morning and maybe even London this afternoon.
Really?
Yep. I just listen to what the VIPs I work with, what their plans are, and I do believe it's London this afternoon.
How long does it take to get to London from Paris, France, wherever?
I really never even notice.
I
just shut my eyes and have a quick sleep or do some work.
Do some
it's
work.
Like any plane, anywhere, any train. I don't even count the time now.
Do you get? Do you love traveling? And are you good out of a suitcase?
I'm good out of 2 suitcases.
Well, yeah, I guess. But yeah, how do you find? Like, you love what you do. We'll get into that, but a lot of people talk about the life on the road, and some people talk about it's not as glamorous as what people believe it is. Is it glamorous, or is it what you make it? I don't know. What is it?
It's totally as glamorous. Trust me. Absolutely. Yes, you got it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Oh, well, let's start off with the African proverb from your story yesterday. Okay? Because we like to start off with a philosophy or proverb. Until the lion learns to write every story. Until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter. So,
and there it is.
And then it says here why we must unwrite NSLBP from stories used by pain scientists. So, tell us about that proverb.
Well, when I graduated last century from physio, we were equipped with a scientific mind, not a politicized mind.
Yep.
And currently, unfortunately, health professionals have been led astray for almost the last 20 years.
Yeah.
To pursue an agenda of failure, because realistically, the people who are leading it are failures, clinical failures.
Yes.
And they've pursued the concept of pain rather than finding cause. And as a result, you're going to find that 50% of all physiotherapists who graduate in Australia have left the profession within 5 years of graduation due to career dissatisfaction and inability to pursue, I expect, do the things that they expected would happen as a professional when they entered university which was they would expect they could make people better. But they're realistically being told that they're going to be failures, and it's pretty much the patient's fault because it's how the patient's thinking. And these people are being very disempowered. So I was brought up on pure science, find cause and cause.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and I don't mean to. Hopefully, I haven't cut you off, but like it's true though. It says here, until the lion learns to write. So in other words, the hunter will just make up a fucking story. The hunter will basically say that the lion surrendered or the lion came and attacked him when he had the helpless prey probably was sitting there peeing next to a fucking tree, and he shot the lion and he puts up a big story, eh?
Yeah, it makes it more fierce than it was. And that's currently the problem which we have in our health professions is the current academic leaders are the ones who are writing the story, which is they're telling everyone who is in the universities that they can't know the cause of pain. But of course, we who are educated and pursued more, I suppose, more understanding, we know we can find cause. And that's why our patients are successful in pursuit of what they expected health professionals to do, which was solve their problems.
Tell me something. I'm going to bring up something, my own personal experience with a physio and my son's when I had a shop like about 2 decades ago, I got something similar to sciatica, right? L4 and L5 swelling hitting the nerve. And for some reason, I was sent to this physio in Liverpool, right? Physio in Liverpool, just by luck. I know people that have suffered for decades and decades, but when I went and saw this guy, he saw me, he told me to go and get x-rays and do everything that we needed to do, and I took it to him. And he said to me, all right, so he showed me some exercises. Trust me, you'd laugh at him. And he goes to me, yeah, and he goes, see me in a week. See me in a week. And I went, all right, I'll see you in a week. And then he goes to me, see me in 2 weeks. I went, all right, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Then he said, I'll see you in 4 weeks. I realized this guy knew he could take my money, but it wasn't about taking my money. If I wasn't going to do the work, if I wasn't going to commit to what his instructions were and the exercise he put before me, I don't stand a chance. And then when I was better, you know what he said to me?
Tell me.
He goes, I'll see you in a year. I said, no way, I'm not coming back. I said, no way, I'm not coming back. Guess who was back in a year? Me.
There you were.
Because I didn't continue the exercise that he put before me.
There we go.
So he was great. Now with my son, what I've realized is, and I guess different frame of mind with my ex-wife. I'm not here to bag her. I'm just trying to say that my son goes and sees, well, both my kids, but goes and sees a physio. But literally, if my son, he literally, this physio says to my son, see you in a week, see you in a week, see you next week, see you this week. And I had to confront this physio guy. And I said, mate, the kid's 16. He's going to be riding skateboards. He's going to fall off branches. He's going to kick a soccer ball, get hacked down in soccer. If he's anxious every time he's got a sore back and he's got to race to see you, this is not a good thing. You're not building a strong character. I said, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, literally, I said kind of that. I said, my ex is like, you got to go see the physio. I'm like, Jan, calm down, mate. You just got slid. You got slide tackle in a soccer game. You just got to, in your mindset as well, obviously, you need to stretch, you need to do a few things. But if this guy's not teaching my son something, but he's got to turn up to get cracked, massaged, and moved, and says, come and see me in a week, and he hasn't given my son solutions, but if actually a strong mindset, my son is like literally fucking falling over stairs and racing to this physio thinking he's damaged his back for life. What do you think about that?
What you really put there is something that's integral to all pursuits of muscle.
Yeah.
The program doesn't work unless you do it.
100%, yeah.
And there is a big part of success in empowering somebody is to know what to do.
Yeah.
And that it is upon them to do the work. It's not upon the professional to do the work. The professional's there to diagnose, determine the cause, show you how to treat the cause. And if you're into strongman, powerlifting, bodybuilding, your coach is hopefully a pretty bright person, and they're going to set up a program that if you do it, it's going to work. And I think that's a big perspective to give a person, is if you do it to the letter, we're experienced, we know the outcomes, and you will achieve the goals that you're after. And I look at that with all the great coaches, Sebastian Oreb, Gus Cook, good coaches I know, the bodybuilding coaches. Yeah, very successful because they're good communicators with their clients who have goals, and those goals are established and they know how to program for it. And the people do the work to the letter. In fact, if I look at the greatest inspiration I would have as far as anything in physical endeavor, there was a vegan female powerlifter who I think took up the sport at around about 55 or 60-ish almost. And yet I never saw a person build more muscle more successfully than that person. Now let's have a look. How the hell did you do that? You're vegan.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question.
And why? Because she did everything she was told, every rep she was told, every set she was told. And I looked at it and I thought, you had everything against you, yet you have done better than people who've got everything going for them because you stick to the program. And that's forever the biggest gift. Seeing somebody who had everything against them do the work and come out successful. Now, if we've got more gifts and more on our side, we should be able to achieve that too.
Well,
hey guys, Steve here from Muscle Talks podcast. I just want to say a big thank you for everyone that's subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Why subscribe? It allows us to get a bigger reach, a bigger audience, and get those that love and have a massive love affair with bodybuilding onto this podcast. Some of the elites, we're talking to them now. We've had some of them already on. So please subscribe and also hit the notification bell. Why? It notifies you when we've launched a new podcast, some great new content that you might be interested in. So we want you to get the very best from us. So please subscribe, notification bell, and let's get back to the podcast.
It's funny you say that because when I had I still talk about this physio guy. That's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But let me say, I had a shop and it was a juice bar. So we would carry 20 kilo.
And in bodybuilding, we better define what sort of juice bar that was, all right?
Yeah. Well, obviously I had a bum bag, by the way, and I walked around with baggy track. No, it was a juice. It was an actual juice bar that sold Tren. No, I mean, it sold juices, right? Smoothies. But I carried boxes of pineapple. You know, boxes of pineapple. There's a dozen in there. Boxes of oranges. This physio fixed me through all that. But let me say one more thing to you, and I'll say it confidently. I've always kind of had it. I used visualization. So I could tell you now, I was walking from Woolloomooloo to the city, and I remember at 4 o'clock in the morning when it was dark, going up the stairs with a sore back, that I would visualize my inflammation and I would visualize it getting smaller, but I wasn't stupidly thinking this is going to happen overnight. I just kept putting millimeters to it. I said a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller. So you have to really want it, and you have to find your own little strengths. But like I said to you, the physio guy taught me something. It works in the real world that you can tell someone what to do. At the end of the day, it's up to them to do it. And he knew it takes time. And he stayed with me for literally 12 weeks, but the way he spaced me out. And I introduced visualization, and I did. I visualized it in my head.
That's a fantastic tool to have. I'll throw you an interesting story in regard to visualization.
Please do.
I once had a national level bodybuilder who'd won the nationals.
Yep.
Who came and saw me because his right arse cheek hurt whenever he squatted 300 pounds.
Yep.
So I did a full assessment on the individual, and then I had some insight that there appeared to be more to this than just the physical experience, because human beings have everything. We have the integration of the physical and the mental.
Yes.
And I said, sit down and I want you to do a visualization with me. And let's make it as real as possible, because to make it effective, your brain has to believe you're doing it.
Yeah.
I said, okay, we're going to start squatting. You're sitting there in the chair, but I actually want you to imagine you're back in the gym. You got the bar on your back. We're going to start with 100 pound. Right, got that? Fine. We went to 200 pound. Okay, the visualization is good. Got it. You can feel it. You can smell it. You can hear the weights around you. Now, let's put 300 pound on your shoulders, and I want you to step out of the squat rack. And he goes, my ass cheek just hurt. So what we had there was such an integration of expectation that 300 pound was going to produce the problem. Now, my rehab's not going to be successful unless I can get him to understand that what he was doing was he was having an expectation, and he had to be able to do that mentally before he could do it physically. And of course, we did the strengthening work required. But without that, I would have missed a component.
Wow, that mental work.
Everything's an integration.
It is an integration.
Physical and mental.
I believe it, and there has to be something personal to integrate that. And there's an element, I think, I was going to use the word love, but you have to have a respect for yourself. You've got to really care about yourself. You got to really love yourself to want to fix yourself. If it sounds,
I like that.
I don't know if it sounds rainbows and unicorns, but there's got to be a love affair within yourself to go so deep within mentally, I think, anyway.
Oh, it's all mental.
Yeah, it is. 2 days ago, you put a story up on IG. It said, wanted to bring it back to things that are easy and simple. And we are starting the workshop saying these are the 6 things you need to know up front. So tell me about that. And actually, I think you're doing it with somebody, that 6 things that need to be easy and simple.
But I always get told off by my dear girl, Julie, because she says, when I'm in a workshop, stop telling people it's easy. They don't find it easy. They don't find it simple. And I do actually add that in the workshop, which is, it is simple, but it will only become simple once you take your time to become experienced.
Yes.
So if we look at it, we'll go back to the year 1680.
Yep.
There's a fellow called Borelli who wrote the very first book on biomechanics. In fact, Borelli died in 1679, just before it got published. How unfortunate for him.
Yes.
But it is the most magnificent book. I've actually got a copy. It's written in Latin, and there is an English translation that was in 1979. I've got the translation. Now, Borelli wrote the foundational understanding of the biomechanics of a human movement, a human under load. Well, that's 7 years before Sir Isaac Newton wrote the 3 laws of physics that we understand.
Wow.
So our science of understanding began basically 400 years ago. Why has academia lost the understanding of true science? So it is simple. There are 3 directions that human beings live in, 3 planes of motion: forwards and backwards, side to side, and rotation. Now, if you want to become good at any injury solution, you need to understand how the joint that's problematic moves through those 3 planes of motion, and the professional needs to be able to assess in those 3 planes of motion. And guess what? You put some muscles on that, and you better know what that particular muscle does in those 3 planes of motion. And that solves the first part, being able to directionally assess. Only 3 planes, that's all you got. Now, the next 3 things are, there's only 3 components of the human body. There's the active system, they are the muscles that contract. There's the passive system, they're the joints. They're the things you can't contract. And then you've got the neurological, the motor control, basically the software that drives the active system with the passive system. So there it is, 6 things, and you will solve pretty much every injury that will come into you. You can reduce it down to assessment through the 3 planes and assessing the 3 components, the 3 subsystems of the human body. There you are. It's simple. You've only got 6 things to learn.
They are simple.
It only takes you 20 years to realize it's simple. Don't worry.
But the thing is, something you said about, I'm sorry if I don't use technical words. I'm going to dumb it down to my level.
I don't use them either.
I trust me, I try to, but I don't have Google open at the moment, so let me just be normal. The thing is, when you talk about the body, the biomechanics, and discovery, do you think then, I can't help but feel that man has been compromised, and we are not about finding solutions, but actually we are built as to continue. We've it's kind of like we've the more the sorry, with all that is around us, the sicker we are, the weaker we are. It's like they diminish the person, like in relation to finding answers that are basically don't require necessarily medication, or don't maybe require a physical, maybe a spiritual, a mental type of philosophy, but it's been stolen from us. So I feel like from that point till now, it's just been downhill. Would you say that?
Yes, that's been a big influence, which is basically, shall we call it, politics.
Yes.
We're being disempowered from being able to take possession of reality. Reality exists. You may not like reality, but it doesn't change reality. It doesn't change physics. It doesn't change biology. So reality is knowable. And this is a solution to the injury that apparently for most people may be unknowable. That's where the physios are being taught that it's unknowable. There's all a complex matter of between the ears. Well, of course, there's that. But realistically, it's our job to direct and find the realistic solution and supply the person with the tools to understand it in the terms that they need to understand it in, and then do the work precisely as given. Respect the work. In fact, that was my old high school's motto, was honor the work and your work will honor you.
Yeah, all
and
good.
There it is.
There it is there. So with what we said, that those 6 steps, I saw, possibly you can tell me you're working with a Dr. Luke Gieghart, who's another strength guy. But what I mean, besides talking about him, because I want to talk about you, I noticed that he's a world champion powerlifter, 400 kilo squat, right? And then you're also a record holder, a WRPF Australia Master Bench Press holder. So do you guys practice what you preach?
That's Dr. Brogan Williams.
Yeah.
He's who I work with. Oh, we live it. This is our community. These are our passions. This is what we are. Like you mentioned about weight training, it's unnegotiable. We have to train.
Yes.
And sometimes when you train, it's fun to have a goal.
Yes.
That makes it a little bit more real, even if it's a daily day goal, or it could be a world championship goal. So we practice every single day the things that we are telling our patients in our community to be able to do.
So tell me, what is so we because you've got some, you've got on your bio, you've got, all right, what's WRPF?
That's one of the powerlifting federations.
Okay.
And that's a wonderful federation worldwide, started in Russia, and it's all around the planet. It's a very, very good federation to work with. There's lots of federations, lots of federations out there.
Well, you've got GPA.
Yep, that's another one.
CAPO.
Yeah, the old CAPO. That's a very old federation. It may almost get to be the point it's close to being Australia's oldest powerlifting federation.
Okay.
So I've had a good relationship with them for many decades.
Wonderful. GPC.
Yep, that'll be the global powerlifting, perhaps. Yeah, different world federations and different national bodies.
Are you still doing
it? No. Well, let's put it this way. Yes, I'm training. Am I going to compete again? Probably not, because my major passion is the education for other professionals. And that's the pursuit and goal which we're really concentrating on the next few years. Now, if it just so happens I'm lifting enough weight and with the right movement, I might decide to have a go at the record, but I won't be putting everything aside to do the record, which is what I've had to do previously. Whether it's bodybuilding or whether it's powerlifting, or it's just a personal thing, we've always got to have the goal and the commitment to that. takes away from other things. If you want to be a success in life, number one rule is you're going to be unbalanced. And if you try and become balanced, you're going to be a failure at pretty much everything.
Explain unbalanced.
Unbalanced. Well, the idea there is to become exceptional in anything, you need to dedicate more time and effort to it, and that will require you're going to take time away from something else.
Yes.
If you're going to be a great bodybuilder or a great powerlifter, you are not going to have the greatest social life. Quite likely your work life might suffer a bit too. You're going to take away the perceived balance. And a lot of people are too stressed about thinking, I need to have a balanced life. Well, if you look at what success asks of you, the price of success is a lack of balance. It's a requirement to pursue one thing pretty much at the expense of everything else. So I always say, be comfortable being unbalanced.
Be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Oh, very much. Because you're actually probably going to be more mentally worse by trying to always try and put all equal time in different components of your life, because you're going to take away something. You're going to take away some success.
How do you find sacrifice, and sometimes having to let go of things, even sometimes friendships, people, situations? How do you find it?
Yeah, I find it necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to when I'm a kid, okay? And now I think I was about 6 years.
I've got here a question. I've got a question that go with this as well, please. It says here, tell us, where did you grow up, Andrew? Family life? Were you an academic kid, sport kid? And what did you dream of becoming? But please incorporate that with what you're about to say.
You've got it. What a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting. I'm in a cigar bar in Miami last year.
Cigar bar, yeah.
And Mike De La Pava, who runs the Battle Axe Gym, and myself, we're out with a few friends. And suddenly we realized that we had both had the same thing that happened to us, which had defined who we became. Okay. And it was a particular song. And it was a song called The Impossible Dream. And to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unfightable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to go where the brave dare not go. And I know if I will only be true to this glorious quest, the world will be better for this, basically, is what it's about. And it's about you being true to your quest. Now, at this point, I realized that I had to be, or shall we say, have integrity to what I wanted to become. And I wanted to be a professional sports athlete.
Okay.
And I initially thought I'd be playing professional baseball in America. I played for Australia. I played in the inaugural World Youth Series. But I fell out of love with baseball, and the passion of weight training took over. And now it's really the passion for academia and teaching people to become better and helping professionals and helping the patients I see. So I became a physio probably in my head actually at the age of 13, funny enough, because I'm not the sort of person who has only plan A and no plan B. It got to the point where I was thinking if something happened, an injury, I'll probably need a profession behind me. So I actually had a pursuit of being probably a physio from 13. Wow. And sure enough, I got injured on the way to becoming a professional wrestler like the WWE. That was my goal. I was getting ready for that.
Oh, wow. You looked the part. I've got a question on that one too with a photographer, but go on.
Yeah. And that was it. So there I was. I got injured on the journey, but lucky enough, I graduated from physio. So there it was. Plan B was needed. And still, I was able to put in some other pursuits later, but the primary one is to be the best professional on earth at what I do. And that was a piece of advice that was given to me from day one from graduation. I had a job at the most eminent sports centre from day one after graduated. And the person who ran the sports centre, she took me into the office on day one and she said, Locke, your job here is to become the best in the world at something. And she said, and I'm the best in the world at shoulders, so piss off and find something else. And there it is. the gift on that first day was you're not just a plonker who's a pair of hands. You're only here if you now decide to dedicate yourself to that quest to become the best at something. And low back injury was the thing that was the biggest mystery to all of us upon graduating. So that was the biggest deficit in our knowledge. So I had to choose that joint.
Did you? And if I interrupt, I always apologize because I could listen to. I'm so intrigued, but I need to note out a few little things for people probably listening and myself. When you say the best, I don't have. I want to be the best. I don't know if I can convince myself. How do you take that and then implant it in you?
It's that simple fire that started at the age of 6, which was the glorious quest. Now, you don't start off at the best, and in fact, I'd say it's nearly taken me 30 years to get to the point where I'd say what I do better than anybody else. And that's pretty much how I'm defined. I'm the guy that you see when you failed with everyone else.
That's usually the case. That makes you the best. That makes you the best. Or, well, since you spoke about, graduating, but you posted your first job was digging trenches. I'm going to go with each job. Then you had a second job, which was loading and unloading road trains. And your third job, which was that you played baseball. So those first 2 jobs, tell me about them.
All right. Here I am. I've initially I left high school in year 11, not year 12. I didn't finish, right?
Right.
Because I was going to become a professional athlete. So I got a job offer up in the Northern Territory, up in Darwin.
Yep.
And that was to play baseball and cricket for East Darwin at the time. Okay. There was a bit of a delightful, I suppose, disorganisation. So I needed to make more money. So the first thing I better do is I better get a job then while I'm playing these sports.
Yeah.
And the first job I got, well, someone said, come out here. We need someone to dig some trenches for the Gilbarco people who are putting in fuel pumps. So out in the summer, out in the sun in Northern Territory, I got a shovel and a pick, and I'm digging trenches. I got to say, I enjoyed it. It was good being a kid away from home, travelled a long distance. And then, as that ran out, I did some work with loading the road trains that were going from Darwin down to Kununurra in the west there. Loved that job. It was great. Just working with very strange people, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And after a year of doing that, I wrote a letter to my parents and said, you know what? I got 2 choices. I can become a drunk like everyone else that I'm dealing with up here and enjoying it.
Yes.
Or I can come back and finish high school and then go to university. And I said, all right, you're welcome. You can come back home. So then I went back. So it was a year away, living with, in a house full of bikers, just having a great time, but knowing that I wasn't going to be fulfilling my real true self if I stopped my progression at that age and I came back and pursued the goal.
It was funny. I think of a story myself, and I was telling my son yesterday. Sometimes you're hanging around some people where they're not necessarily they're not actually you. Like you enjoy or you're going to hang around, but somehow you've got to stay under the radar of believing who you are and where you're going and what you want to achieve, even though, like you said, you're in a room full of people that seem like bikers, drinking, carrying on. You can sometimes people can believe is that who you are. Sometimes it's not who you are. It's just the environment you're in. You just have to be in it right now before you get out of it, if that makes sense.
It's attractive. You've been under your parents' roof all your life and suddenly you're out. There's a lot of freedom happening. Yeah, it's exciting. And you can be, I suppose, pursue that excitement, or you can look a little bit deeper, and that's probably me. What does the future really hold? All right, time to go back and pursue the dreams, and time to look at that professional wrestling career as well, and get back and do some academic work while I'm at it and get a degree. And it worked out to be a good plan.
Do you know Chris Trio in Melbourne?
I know the name, but
Yeah, Chris, something. Take your clothes off. Triantopoulos, Chris Triantopoulos. He was on the podcast actually. He's a BJJ, but he did wrestling too. He was a wrestler as well. So he did wrestling as well. So, all right, before we move on from your childhood, and I know you're from Melbourne. All right, who's your AFL team, mate? Who's your AFL team?
AFL died about 1981, I think it was. So there's no. I don't even look at the sport.
What happened?
That's right. What happened? It became soft. So I lost.
Yeah. Then you haven't missed much. Then you haven't missed much. Yeah, missed much.
No. So I don't even have a team anymore. That died when the sport basically died and became soft.
It's getting softer. You should see. I follow the NRL, the rugby league, and just on the weekend, someone was falling in a tackle, and the guy's palm hit the guy in the face while he was falling, and they called it like head high. Guys, he's already hitting the ground, and his face hit the guy's head, and they penalized the guy. It was incredible, man. It was just incredible. And also the player milked it. And that's what the players know, instead of playing the sport, the players know the rules of the sport. So they actually know that guy touched me here. I'm going down, holding my face. So they've all become Italian soccer players. In
fact, I was sitting in a lounge room smoking a cigar here in Paris last night with the VIP, and we were watching Barcelona playing soccer. And there was a moment where a player went down. And I said, we need to change the rules in soccer. And it probably could apply to NRL and AFL. Yeah. So if you're on the ground for longer than 15 seconds, that you're not allowed to continue the game.
I agree.
If you're that injured, you're off. That's it. You got 15 seconds to get off the ground. And if you don't, you're off. And the team actually is worse because you're not going to be there. Now, if you're that injured, go.
I think you should be tested to the fact that, are you willing to compromise your whole team if they pull you off with that move? And I never thought about it that way, but I think if they're listening, great call.
Are you fat up or fed up? I just made this from my book. What should I eat? Download your ebook copy from threeog.shop now.
Okay, so seeing we're a bodybuilding podcast, and I've read you are an IFBB Pro League judge. Can you tell me a little bit about that judging and your involvement with bodybuilding, and have you competed in bodybuilding?
Well, I have the good fortune of having a body image disorder.
Right.
All right. Let's really get down to that's the other part of who I really am.
Yeah.
I have a body image disorder. So similarly, you could say to the anorexia, we have the bigorexia thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be bigger and never felt I was big enough. Bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia, that is always the thing that I've always pursued as far as an ideal.
Yep.
So never being big enough to make the Olympia, I mean, I better keep trying to get there. So the biggest I got to was 140 kilos body weight. Well, I did that one for the powerlifting.
Yes.
But as a junior, I started at probably 80 kilos body weight, and I went to 136 in 5 years.
You're a tall fellow. How tall are you?
The old language, 6 foot, just over.
Okay, go on.
So there's Sammy Ioannidis,
Sammy Ioannidis,
multiple Mr. Universe winner. He's at the gym that I train at. I said, Sammy, how do I get like you? And he said, 2 dozen eggs a day and 4 liters of milk every day, the whole way. Well, try doing that for 5 years, which I did, right? I'm eating 2 dozen to 3 dozen eggs a day, 2 to 4 liters of milk a day. And I got from 80 kilos to 136, which was 300 pounds. That was my goal.
Yep.
And then I looked in front of the mirror. I thought, I'm a big fat bastard now. And okay, I've made the scale hit 300, and now it's time to not be so fat.
I'll tell you this. I've told this story before, but I'll say it for you as well because you've not heard it, and you probably. I used to have half a dozen eggs every day, between 20s and 30s that decade, and being from a good old-fashioned Greek family, my mum would say to me, "What the hell is going on here? Like, I can't get enough eggs for you. And it was more than just half a dozen. But Greeks, being smart and working out costs and how to do it, well, they got direct line to a farmer and said, listen, when you bring the manure, get the guy that's got eggs to bring us pallet of eggs. And that's what we got. Pallet of eggs delivered to my house. Plus, obviously, my dad, he had the special manure that grew his own tomatoes and cucumbers. But yeah, my mum would be ordering from the farmer eggs direct and basically turn up with tinkering, squeaking truck. And then he'd pull up the roller and yeah, we'd be pulling out pallets of eggs.
See, there's the typical Greek mind. How do we solve these problems?
Yes.
While all the other Malakas are going down to the supermarket and they're buying their eggs every day, we're smarter. We're going to figure out the way to do it cheaper.
What's your background? What's your background, mate?
I'm pretty much, if I look at my genetic background, it's pretty much everything but Asian and African, I think.
Oh, I was going to say you look a bit Asian, you look a bit African, but then I guess you're not. So you became a judge. Tell me about the judging.
Yes. So if I go back, we're going to go back even to last century. Pretty much it is when, let's look at it. I met Tony Doherty, of course, way back when he was helping to organise contests at that time. And a day happens that I've been around, and guess what? A judge hasn't turned up and they need somebody. Well, guess who has to fill in? The person who's been around a lot and seen a lot. And that was how it began. So it was always the thing was, yep, there's a pro show. I'm ready to, I'm available. I'll travel. I'll do what you need. Now, of course, professionally, I'm not in town very much these days.
Yes.
So it's unlikely I'll get back to do that now because realistically, I could be moving full-time overseas at the moment. So the wonderful country of Qatar has a goal at this moment to lead the world in sports medicine. I'm doing some negotiations there.
Wow. And so I'm assuming by accident becoming a judge.
Yes.
Obviously being a person of, I'll call it like physics in the physical realm.
Yep.
Did you like judging? Did you enjoy it? Do you enjoy it?
Loved it. Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah. Tell me why. Tell me why.
You get the best seat in the house.
Oh, you do. You got the best seat.
If I look at it back, I was picking up Lee Haney, for example, from the airport.
No way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Lee Haney. Oh my God. He's 8-time Mr. Olympia. Yeah.
Yeah. And what a nice guy too.
Yeah, very nice.
What a gracious human being.
I heard. Family man.
Very much. So it was Flex Wheeler. I could look at Dorian Yates.
No way. Dorian Yates, yeah. I saw Dorian Yates off season, mate. He looked 2 times you.
Easily. And Corey Everson's one of the most beautiful people I've ever met.
Oh, wow.
So I was amongst the people who I'd idolized. And it was a very easy job to have. Look after the pros, get what they need, take them where they need to go. Lou Ferrigno, he's another person I really enjoyed time with. Yeah.
So just because I may have missed it, I just want to know, what age did bodybuilding grab you again and why? Because I think you said you had an injury, but what you went into the gym, what age was that? What age were you when you hit the gym? Grab the weight.
If I look at it, when I really first stepped into a gym, I've got to have been about 16. 16 or 17. That was Terry Bennett's gym in Melbourne, which was one hell of a true gym. It was a place where Terry used to sleep in the gym himself, the gym owner.
Yeah.
There were holes in the floor. There was a mechanics down below. It wasn't unusual for a weight plate to go through the floor and end up missing one of the mechanics who might have been working down below.
Gyms were like boxing clubs. You go there and it was just, I don't know. It's funny because boxing is boxing. When you walk in a boxing gym, it still it reminds me of the 80s and 70s, 80s, and early 90s gyms. You know what I mean? Still got, it's still got that raw feeling. everything looks like it's going to break down, but it doesn't because it's built like a brick shithouse and that nothing breaks. You could just use it. It's just incredible.
So what a beautiful smell to grow up on, isn't it?
I'll
Sweat,
tell you.
leather. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. I'll tell you what else is strange. And you tell me if I'm right. It just came to me. What is it? Calluses. How come I don't get calluses anymore, but I got calluses when I was in my early 20s? It must be the equipment. Maybe they stopped getting calluses. I had fucking calluses, man.
Yeah, because you were lifting dumbbells and barbells, not using machines as much.
Yes.
That's what it takes. You got to grip a bar. You got to grip the dumbbells. But machines don't give you that same experience. So yeah, we get the calluses by gripping bars, which you got some knurling on it.
And they really had grooves on them. They were built differently, the bars then.
Some of them are built like cheese graters. They've got good deep grooves, yeah. So there's the calluses. If you want to get them, you're going to be lifting bars and dumbbells.
Okay, let's go a little bit technical now. The Ultimate Stability Series, this encompasses the glutes, the abs, and the lumbar spine. Poor hip flexion. Please, as you assistant said, take it away. Something about total core and stability. Go on there. What's that?
Pretty much straight up as a human being moves, the first thing that moves for you to be able to set up movement is the things closest to the spine.
Yes.
We prepare our spine. Essentially, it's a physiological integration of the control of the muscles closest to the spine that allow the force production from the muscles furthest from the spine, the joints. So if you're looking to make a person who's got injuries, you're looking to make sure that the center is established. And that encompasses abdominals, lats, gluteals, and the various muscles. If I look at most of the injuries that occur in human life realistically come in our modern society from people sitting on their ass all day, which is not how we evolved. We evolved to be walking and running.
Yes.
So the lack of hip strength into extension is usually where the failure in the gym will come, and the back takes over the work because the back's the workhorse. And at the end of the day, the back will say, I'd like some help here. And that's where your abdominals and your glutes have to be integrated to be back to that hunter-gatherer that you evolved to be. So realistically, if I'm looking to rehab a person, I'm just looking at a hunter-gatherer that's sitting on his ass all day that decides to go and lift a weight. We're apex predators. That's what we are.
You put it so simply. I mean, we could go on just that subject alone, but another post that you said was trust a professional who lifts for advice on lifting. Also, tell me about that Superman tattoo that's on your shoulder. What's with the Superman tattoo?
Once again, you have to earn your tattoos, I think.
Yeah, go ahead. How do you earn them?
Superman goes, yeah, and when you got them, they mean something.
They do.
So always, every tattoo I've had has had a relationship to something in life that I will have achieved, or a goal that's been attained, and I feel as if I can earn something to commemorate that with. So Superman was the first one, and that goes a fair way back, probably celebrating and almost directing that I've now got to keep living up to it. You put that tattoo on you, well, you better live up to it. So I look at that and I go, time to train. And if you're wearing that and you've got a sleeveless top on, you better live up to your Superman tattoo.
Well, you live up to you, and which I'm probably going to bring up that question, but I want to ask, you wear a crucifix around your neck.
Yeah, some days.
Yeah, some days. Well, I've noticed most days. Is it there now? Is the crucifix around your neck now?
Oh, it's on there today. Yep, it's underneath there. Yep. Right.
What does it symbolize? I just thought I'd ask that question.
Oh, that's definitely a faith-based relationship. They would go back well into childhood. And dealing with a lot of wonderfully faithful and dedicated athletes who I think are super inspiring. They're people of faith, and it doesn't matter which faith it is either. I can look at the great athletes. I deal with a lot of Islamic professionals. Fantastic. If I learn some wonderful things from them.
Yes.
And then I can look at Julius Maddox, who's the world's greatest bench presser. Julius has a very strong Christian relationship, and we've spent a lot of time when I was in the US together. And I could look at Rory Lytlemeyer, who's one of the great bodybuilders of all time. Rory's faith has continued to be a big part of his life, and there's a guy now in his 60s who looks like he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
And yet it's the integration of a faith with their faith in what they're doing, as in it's believed to be their mission. That's why they're here. Part of what I recognize so deeply.
Yeah. I've seen there's a few bodybuilders at the moment that show somewhat their faith in their posts alone. Like some of them show, there's something about it. I don't know. Like, I guess it's interesting though, really. I get everybody thanks God or does that cross before they go on the soccer field or before they go into the boxing ring. I guess it takes you, probably allows you to just surrender to it and take on the opponent or turn up the best version you can and have a little bit of an edge that you're using faith as well besides yourself.
I do enjoy the Arabic term, the Islamic term, inshallah, God willing. There it is.
No, 100%. Are you placing the band for your crab walks in the most effective position for the task you are trying to change? Are we? Do you think
everything?
Yes, go on.
Everything is task related.
Yep.
So in rehabilitation, you've got to relate what you're doing for the person to the task that they're trying to achieve. There's no recipe. Each person's an individual, and we apply science to the individual. So if you're going to place a band around a person's knees, it may, by physics, apparently be a better position to be further away. But if the person doesn't connect to it effectively and feels it better in a different position, why are you doing it in the first place? Well, to get the person to experience it in the way they need to experience it. So I'm flexible in allowing the position of the band to be the best position for the person, not necessarily what the numbers must say or the physics might have to say, because you're dealing with a person who has certain anatomical differences to somebody else. So we apply resistance and movements to be the most effective for the individual.
Well, that does take, everyone seems to just talk about numbers, which is, it's true, but I think people forget about the individual. And like you said, but I wanted to ask you, and how do I word this? Because I'm a bit, maybe we're twins. I mean, I've got tattoos, I've got a dirty mo going, I've got a mullet, shaved side earrings on both sides, tattoos. So your look, your style, your approach in the field of physiotherapy, doctoring, you don't seem to fit the stereotype mold. Have you always been unforgiving? The hair, the beard. I mean, you'd pass as a leader of a bikie gang or something. So
not leader.
Yeah. Or maybe not a leader, but how do you, tell me about you.
Yeah, I look the way I want to be. Oh, yeah, of course, I'm not big enough, am I? I'll never be big enough, but I'm not going to stop. I'll be training today. I'll be back in somewhere doing things today. So the look itself is just a display.
I can tell by your dress as well. You love, meaning you have you. That's, and I just want to ask you, how do you discover that? And you being you in a profession that usually isn't like you.
Well, if I'm consulting with, say, royalty, or I'm working with somebody at a high level, and I understand the world I live in, I wear a 3-piece suit.
Okay.
And I've got about 7 of those. I pack a couple for when I travel.
I saw that. I saw your suit. Yep.
Now, I dress for the situation. So I'm not there to impose myself so much upon the individual as much as I am to have the individual recognize that I'm relating to what their expectation may be.
Yeah, okay.
Now, my hair is me. That's it. I've always had a mohawk pretty much since I graduated.
Yes.
Lucky enough that because I'm busy, that it's not a bar to why people see me. Also, people have an expectation. That's what they're going to see. So they're going to see somebody who's different from everybody else
Yes.
and has a reputation for the outcomes that others don't achieve. Now, that is being true to myself.
Mm.
I am not normal, so guess what? This is me.
Look, I like it, and I want to ask about smoking cigars. What
Yeah.
is it about? I've seen you smoke a cigar. I've seen Tony Doherty smoke a cigar, and I've seen world-class bodybuilders smoke cigars. Come on, is cigars okay, but cigarettes is not?
They go too fast for me. But essentially, a big part of that will also be the nicotine. Nicotine is one of the things that helps us think better. It's
Really?
a brain chemical. Yeah, you can look at all the great thinkers. Einstein had his pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Sigmund Freud had a pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Winston Churchill had a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many incredibly bright minds who used nicotine in some way, perhaps not without knowing essentially why, but they knew that when they were deep in thought, the nicotine would be a useful adjunct as they were working.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for me. Actually, there was a dentist I used to work with. He was a patient at one point, a bit of an older guy, and he said when he first graduated, he used to smoke a cigar while he was working on his patients, while he was doing his dentistry.
Can I just ask, because I want to delve in a little bit more, because I'm going to get a cigar after this. I was going to get one now, but we got a new studio, and I don't think we could smoke in here right now. So there's smoke detectors in here, so which is just
well, they go off every time you take your shirt off, don't they?
Of course they do, buddy.
Yes,
of course
smoking, maybe. The smoking. There we go.
There we go. Of course, mate. I mean, we'll talk about the ladies if you want, but we'll skip that for a moment. But so tell me, I when my marriage fell apart, I started smoking. Right, I started smoking. I was 40-something years old. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I could go out and have a drink and a smoke. I never really cared, but I was never a smoker. And then I got hooked. I was addicted to smoking. I never realized addiction. It was the first time in my life. It was like I got up, so I did rollies because I felt like I just wanted it to be tobacco, I guess. But what I'm asking is cigars different to cigarettes?
Oh, very much.
What is it? I want to know.
Essentially, you need to have an hour. And so that's going to slow you down.
Right.
And it allows you to focus. So if you look at it, cigarette doesn't last very long.
No.
But a lot of people use them to start the day. Realistically, it's more when I've got work to do, I've got to write something, or I'm going to be in a social situation with other people who are going to be talking about topics which may go a little bit deeper. That's where I'll notice the people I'm around, they'll probably have a cigar, I'll have one there, and we'll be sitting and talking and going a little bit deeper. It facilitates that good conversation with the professionals I deal with.
And is cigar a little bit, I don't have the word pure, like, is it different to cigarettes? Is there a different composition to them? Like, are they really, when you buy the Colombian one and this and that, is it that, all that and more? You're buying some
yes.
Is that, yeah?
Oh, spectacular, yes. A really high prestige cigar is similar to a fantastic wine. It's different to the cheap rot gut.
So give us a cigar for everyone listening. Give us one cigar so we can all go shop it.
Oh, if you get lucky, Davidoff currently would be my favorite brand. Now, it would have been previously Cuban Cohibas and Trinidad's, but I've moved towards Davidoff now. And Davidoff, definitely, that is a premier brand.
All right,
and
Chris,
the quality continues. Find a Davidoff.
I'm going to go an off-topic moment because we do a little bit of hot topic. I want to know about exoskeleton suits therapy, neuroresponsive technology. Is AI going to take over the body and give back movement, give back feelings? What do you feel? What are your thoughts about this?
I don't use one. I've never prescribed one.
Well, being that in the world today, what do you call them? Engineers, scientists that are building these exoskeleton suits. What do you think about all this?
Nothing I've had to use to solve a problem with an individual who's in front of me.
Right.
So at this point, that's where I'd place it. If
Okay.
I ever found it to be a useful tool, let's see what happens.
Okay. So it's not a useful tool. I'll take it. I'll say the word. Social media. Sorry?
Yeah, not for what I do currently, yes.
No. Our social media landscape is quite strange. Your words. There are people out there that have never treated a top lifter in their life, and they don't even lift themselves or compete, but they seem to be obsessed with the people that do, but seems to sit on their keyboards in a basement and talk about spinal flexion or whatever under load. Successful practitioners show why they are successful. Mind you were smoking a cigar at the time. Tell me.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, very simple thing is you shouldn't be talking about a subject that you really have no integrated experience about. So you need to have experience with that population, successfully guiding that population to their outcomes. And to do that, you almost pretty much need to be able to do what that population does to then be able to communicate in the terms that that person will understand. It's easy to sit on your ass and read a research paper, but if you don't understand its application, you're just dreaming. You're considering a research paper is only somebody else's opinions. They're not your own. So don't go quoting me somebody else's opinions. I want to hear your opinion.
Many
And
people
you can only do that by doing it yourself. And then understanding, is that research paper actually applicable? So we often hear pathetic people on social media discussing what the latest research is, and you look at them and you go, you don't even understand the failures of that paper because you just don't understand the topic. So for anyone who wants to be a great professional, do what you are going to be treating as much as you can. Now, I can treat a gymnast, I know a gymnast, but I understand human movement. Well, I do that because I've done a lot of human movement. So you can analyze movement. So get out of your chair and learn to move.
Yes. That takes me to strongmen competitions and strong women. How the hell do they do what they do? What is their conditioning consist of? And what is recovery like for them? I mean, these guys are doing, like, tell me, how do they get the body to do and lift and push the way?
With appropriate programming from an appropriate coach who understands the level that person's at.
Yes.
If you're going to deadlift 400 kilos, your recovery time is different from somebody, that same person perhaps, if they're only doing 100 kilos. So you can do 100 kilos every day if you want, but you can't do 400 every day. So there's a recovery process related to the programming. The higher the load, the more the recovery will be required. It's a pretty simple tool to understand.
It is. Charles Lothane, a famous photographer. I've just looked at some of the photos and the people he took there, and there you are. Photo of you. How did you become royalty there?
Charles is just a magnificent photographer with the same passion that we will pursue in other things in our life. He pursues the art of capturing the human the same way, better than anyone else. So yes, he shot a lot of Mr. Olympias, and he said, "Oh, I'd love you to come on in sometime." And I know Charles pretty well, so it was just fortunate. Charles and myself caught up when he was doing some things, and yep, he did a great job.
Man, he did. I mean, yeah. I mean, you even said yourself you look more like a wrestler in that photo, a WWE wrestler.
Yeah, he gave me the directions. It worked.
It did work. Tell us, why are we taller in the morning than we are in the evening prior to bed?
The discs. When you lie down at night, the pressure is less on them, so the hydration or fluid around allows them to expand. Then you stand up, and gravity pushes down on them, so you get a little bit shorter after the first hour in the morning.
Oh, so I should put on my Tinder profile between 6 and 7 a.m. I'm 6 foot, but after 10 a.m. I'm 5'11".
There you are. Test it tonight.
Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So,
get your copy at threeog.shop.
Can we finish off with a quick go over the body tips on exercise quickly? And
Sure.
we can do it really quick. We'll speed date it. Okay, we'll speed date it.
We shall.
So let's go over the body. An exercise, sets and reps. Just quickly, you tell me. And if you train it, you do, you don't, and whatever. Traps.
There are 3 components to the traps. So shrugs are very useful for the upper component. Seated cable rows are a fantastic trapezius exercise.
I've heard, yes.
That brings in pretty much all 3 components very well. Now, hypertrophy tends to mean higher repetitions and higher volumes. And pure strength production is going to mean higher weight and less volume because you've got to recover.
Okay.
Now, traps are different to quads. Traps respond a lot faster and they grow faster than quads do. Just a thing to do with muscle receptors.
Okay. So delts, outer delts, what's a good exercise?
What is the movement that delts do? They take the arm away from the body. So lateral raises are going to be your key to swift growth.
Okay. What about rear delts?
Same thing. High volume, extension of the shoulder.
You could probably get away with it with rows as well, couldn't you? Really?
You'll probably find the mid-back will take over the work. So you are looking at focusing on one movement or one muscle in preference to others. So shoulder extension.
Okay. And front delts, quickly?
Yep, forward raises.
Forward raise, yeah, but good old-fashioned forward raise. What about a lateral exercise? What's a good lateral exercise?
Just dumbbells, lateral raises.
And back, what about back? Back.
Well, back is complex of many muscles. So if we're wanting to build the lats, you basically bring your elbow down towards your hip in that pulling motion.
Okay.
That'll be your lats.
Yes, lats. Yep. Chest.
Pretty much anything that brings your arm across your body well. But dips will do it very well too. So dips are going to take you wide, but you're going to finish in here. I've yet to see a great gymnast who doesn't have a great chest and they don't do a lot of bench presses. They do a lot of dips.
True, man. That's true. God, that's an eye opener for me. Abs.
Abs. Well, abs, as a bodybuilder, you're tending not to want to grow them. You're wanting to keep the waist smaller.
Yes.
So you're really looking at isometrics a lot of the time, just the bracing work that makes you work hard. Or you're going to look at something like a direct bring your rib cage towards your pelvis under load. And if you're looking at the obliques, you're moving your right towards your your right shoulder to your left knee, perhaps, and the opposite to get your obliques in there. The externals, obviously, for visual.
Okay. Quads.
Yep. Quads, it's a knee extension. So it can be knee extension under load with a squat. It can be leg extensions.
Okay. Hammies.
Yep, same things. We're looking at something there that flexes the knee. And effectively, if you're a bodybuilder, yes, the lying leg curl does a damn good job.
It does do a good job. Calves.
Something that plantar flexes your foot. So calf raises, usually I find the standing calf raises are the most superior, and you have to drive through the ball of the big toe.
Seated, standing, or donkey?
I've tried them all, and I'd say that standing is the most effective you'll ever get.
What about tibialis? Not many people train the tibialis.
And if it was a weakness, you could put a band around your foot and pull your toes up towards you.
Oh,
I've yet to see Mr. Olympia lost on a tibialis anterior.
I just want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to finish with the last one because I'm going to ask you a question. Glutes.
Which is the extension of the hip.
Yeah.
And the extension of the hip can be done from a squat, or it can be done with a hip thrust. Essentially, a hip thrust is probably going to get you in the anatomically and evolutionary most effective position, which is load at the end of extension. Okay. Squat starts you in, so we say, getting out of about 90 degrees upwards. Both effective.
Okay. Well, tell us. I'm going to ask you last two. We're going to be gone in 1 minute. Promote yourself. Tell us where they can find you, Andrew.
You can try and find me best through perhaps Instagram Andrew_lock_strength. That's the most likely place I'll respond to you with a DM of some form. You can email me, such as you have for this.
Yes.
I get to my emails regularly, but
Yes.
that's about as much time as I've got as far as communication goes.
And can I ask, what is your best mental health tip?
Being true to myself.
How do you explain that?
Who are you? What do you want to be in life? That's what you should be doing. And so you adhere to that. That for me means go to the gym and train, eat effectively, and everything is going to be fantastic. I'm going to feel good as long as I train. I probably don't eat very much if I don't train. I don't feel I've deserved it.
I love it. Well, Andrew, Dr. Andrew Locke, I really appreciate your time. Enjoy France. Enjoy possibly going to London this evening. Enjoy the world, man. I look forward to watching your journey. And also I've like I said, I've been looking forward to this podcast with you.
Oh, it's great to catch up, man. Always. And such superb questions. And that's our community. That's us, isn't it?
It is us. That's who we are, bodybuilders at heart and good old, what do you call it? Battlers.
Pretty much it. We're dedicated to our lives. And that's what we do.
We are.
And don't stress if you're unbalanced. As long as you're serving your major goal, all right?
I love that. I've got a lot of nuggets there. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Fantastic to catch up, and it's time to go get a croissant, huh?
Go get a croissant and possibly a baguette and a bit of French wine.
This evening.
This evening. All right, mate. See you later.
Fantastic to catch up. Catch you, man. Enjoy.
Man.
I'll make it down Boulevard Saint-Germain in about 15 minutes. I'll be at my goal.
Mate, do a post. Well, I'll make sure I'm the first one to like it.
All right, man. I will.
Cheers, mate. Bye. Bye, mate. Thank you. Bye.